It appears to me that the story of the creation of Adam in the Holy Quran is not strictly speaking, a literal story. The reason why I say this is because of this. In the Holy Quran, the creation of Adam is described in Surah Al-Baqarah, Al-A'raf, Surah Al-Hijr, Sa'd, and Taha. Now, when we put all these stories side by side and read them side by side, it is clear to us that in each version of the stories there are significant differences with the version of the stories presented in other surahs. For example, in Surah Araf, where it's one of the shortest version of this story, God describes it as this: "And surely we created you and gave you shape. Then we told the angels, prostrate to Adam, and they prostrated, except for Iblis. He refused to be those who prostrate. And Allah said, what prevented you, O Iblis, that you did not prostrate when I commanded you?" Iblis said, "I am better than him. You created me from fire, and him you created from clay." Allah said, "O Iblis, get down from here. It is not for you to be arrogant here. Get out, for you are one of those who are humiliated and disgraced." Now, I will not go through each and every surah's all the narratives here. You can pause and read them yourselves, or can refer back to the Quran or a translation of it. But what I will go through is some of the major differences. For example, when Allah is telling Iblis that why you are not prostrating to Adam, this conversation is presented in Surah Al-A'raf, verse 12, Al-Hijr, verse 32, and Surah Sa'd, verse 75. And the wordings, the narratives, the speech, and the versions are different in each of these different verses in these three surahs. Now, you might say it's the English translation, but as I will take you through the Arabic Quranic ayat itself, you will see that there is this difference in the actual ayat of the surahs. Now, going through the translation first, in Surah Al-A'raf, Allah said, "What prevented you, O Iblis, that you did not prostrate when I commanded you?" Iblis said, "I am better than him. You created me from fire, and him you created from clay." Surah Hijr, Allah said, "O Iblis, what is your reason for not being among the prostrators?" Iblis said, "I am not the one to prostrate myself to a human being whom you created from sounding clay of altered black smooth mud." In Surah Sa'd, Allah said, "O Iblis, what prevents you from prostrating yourself to one whom I have created with both my hands? Are you too proud, or are you one of those who are highly exalted? And Iblis said, I am better than he. You created me from fire, and you created him from clay. Now I will go through the Arabic recitation of what Allah said to Iblis in Surah Al-A'raf. Allah is saying, Ma mana'aka alla tasjuda is amartuka. In Surah Hijr, Allah said, Ya Iblisu, ma laka alla takuna ma'as sajidin. And in Surah Sa'd, Allah said, Ya Iblisu, ma mana'aka an tasjuda lima khalaqtu biyadayya. Astakbarta am kunta minal a'aliyin. As you can see that there is this difference in the speech of God in all these three verses, and there is same differences in Iblis's answer as well. For example, in one place Iblis is saying, you have created him from clay, teen. And in another place, Iblis is saying, you have created him from sounding clay of altered black smooth mud. Now this is not the only difference. If you read through all these verses and narratives, it appears that in Surah Al-Baqarah and Surah Al-A'raf, Allah is commanding the angels to prostrate to Adam even after Allah created Adam. Whereas in Surah Al-Hijr and Sa'd, it seems like Allah is commanding the angels even before He created Adam. And in Surah Taha, it's not specified when exactly this command was given, versus Surah Al-Baqarah and Al-A'raf, where the command is explicitly given after the creation of Adam. So, as I said, it appears that the schedule of events are provided in different chronologies, in different stories and different narratives in these different surahs. And as I have earlier said, that it's not only the English translation. If you go back to the actual Quran, you can see these differences. For example, this Salsalimin Hamain Masnoon, or sounding clay of altered black smooth mud, versus teen, clay. So all these words and terminologies and narratives are different in these verses. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not saying these are absolutely metaphorical, but at the same time, I am saying these are not absolutely literal, although some part of some of these verses have been explained and understood and interpreted by respectable mainstream scholars in the past as being metaphorical. For example, the hands of Allah with which He created Adam is thought to be metaphorical in the mainstream Islam, as well as many have interpreted the tree of eternity from which Adam and Eve ate the fruit as being a metaphor for the physical relationship between man and woman. Also, don't get me wrong, I'm not taking a side on the hotly debated evolution issue in this video. I am not saying that Quran supports evolution. At the same time, I am also not saying that these verses explicitly in their non-literal meaning oppose evolution. I am not taking any side just on the basis of these verses. What I am saying is this story is strictly not literal. What I am saying is that these conversations are not being held in the 7th century Arabic language because the versions, the wordings, terminologies, narratives are different in different verses in the Quran. And the dialogues are also presented in different versions. So, no, Adam and Iblis and the angels all are not speaking in Arabic language. Also, from the difference in chronology of events, it's apparent to me that this is because God is not giving you a chronological events of a story because God is beyond time and we don't know for sure, but perhaps the angels are also beyond our dimension of time. Also, it is absolutely clear that some part of these stories are metaphorical, but to exactly what extent these stories are metaphorical is subject to further intensive studies. But we should take these stories as they are and try to understand the meta-narrative of the Quran. And also, I would caution you to jump into any conclusion into the evolution versus creation debate on the basis of this. Although I personally have no problem with evolution, but I am not making any argument on the basis of these verses alone at this moment. Thank you for watching this video.